The Peterson family was driving home through a quiet country road when their daughter screamed, "Daddy, stop. A big dog is lying there." They thought it was just a stray dog, hurt, maybe hungry. But when they took it to the vet later, what he found made him freeze and whisper, "Lock the doors, this is not just a dog." What happened next would shock everyone. It was a cold and quiet evening. The sky was turning pink and orange as the sun went down. The Peterson family had just finished visiting Grandma. They were driving home through a narrow road between big fields. Trees stood tall on both sides and the wind made the leaves dance. In the back seat, little Lily was humming a song. She was just 6 years old, happy and full of energy. Suddenly she gasped and pointed out the window. "Daddy. Look, a dog mark." Peterson, the father, hit the brakes slowly and looked outside. There, lying beside an old oak tree, was a big dog. Its fur was thick and grayish-blue. It had a slight limp and one leg looked dirty, or maybe injured. Mark opened his door slowly. Sam, his wife, looked worried. "Are you sure?" "It's getting dark," Mark nodded. "Let me just check on him." The dog did not move when Mark stepped closer. It just looked at him with golden eyes. Calm eyes. Strong eyes. Lily already had her seatbelt off. She ran to her dad. "Daddy, can we help him, please?" The dog stood up but did not bark or growl. It wagged its tail gently and lowered its head. Lily reached out and touched its fur. "It feels soft. Daddy, he likes me." The dog pressed its head into her small hand like he trusted her. Mark watched carefully and then gave a slow smile. "All right, but only for tonight. We'll take him home and keep him warm." A new friend comes home. They helped the dog into the car. He was big almost, like a small horse but gentle. He lay down quietly at Lily's feet and did not move. At home they made a soft bed with old blankets and gave him food. He ate slowly but with good manners like he had been trained. He didn't jump or beg or make noise. Lily named him Blue because of the gray-blue color of his fur. "Can we keep him, Daddy?" she asked while holding his paw. "We'll see, sweetie. First we make sure he is not sick," Mark replied. That night Blue slept near Lily's bed. He did not bark or whine. He just stayed close, his eyes watching the door all night. Strange but safe. In the next few days, Blue became part of the family. He followed Lily everywhere. He waited outside the bathroom door when she brushed her teeth. He sat under the table while she did her drawings, but there was something strange too. Blue never barked unless something was wrong. He walked the house at night, checking the windows and doors like a guard. He didn't chase cats or birds and never begged for food. One evening, Mark came home from work and saw Blue standing still in the backyard staring at the tree line like he was watching something. "What's he looking at?" Mark asked. Sam shook her head. "He does that every night. Same spot. Same time." Mark walked over to Blue but saw nothing. Blue just looked up at him, then walked away calmly. "He's smart," Mark said. "Quiet but smart Blue. Saves the day." One day, something happened that changed everything. Lily was playing in the garden near the old fence. Blue was sitting nearby, calm as always. Then suddenly he jumped up, growling for the first time. Mark and Sam ran outside. "What's going on?" Blue stood between Lily and a snake, a big brown one curled in the grass, his teeth showing. Blue didn't bite or bark again. He pushed Lily gently away and watched the snake carefully. Mark grabbed a shovel and moved the snake out of the yard. Blue stayed still, not moving until Lily was safe. He protected her. Sam whispered, staring at Blue. He knew what to do. That night they all sat around the dinner table and talked. "This dog isn't like others," Mark said. "He's trained. He acts like a police dog or maybe a soldier. He came to us like he was searching for something." Sam added, "Or someone." Lily said with a smile, "He found me. Time for the vet." The next morning they decided to take Blue to the vet. He had a small limp and a scar on his shoulder. They wanted to make sure he was okay. They went to see Dr. Hayes, an old, kind man who had treated their farm animals for years. He was gentle and quiet. Perfect for scared pets, but Blue was not scared. He walked into the clinic like he knew the place. He sat calmly beside Lily. No leash, no fuss. Dr. Hayes smiled. "Well, aren't you a big fellow?" He started checking Blue, listening to his heart, checking his eyes and legs. When he touched the scar on Blue's shoulder, he paused. He leaned in and frowned. Mark noticed his face. "Doctor, is something wrong?" Dr. Hayes did not answer right away. He reached for a scanner and gently moved it over Blue's back. It beeped once, then beeped again, but louder. The screen flashed red. Dr. Hayes stepped back slowly. He looked at his assistant and said quietly, "Lock the door. Now call this number and tell them I said it's urgent." Mark stood up, confused. "What's going on?" Dr. Hayes looked at them, his face pale and serious. "I don't think this is just a dog." The sun was setting behind the Peterson family's little farmhouse. The fields around them glowed golden as the last light of the day slipped away. Inside the house, Lily sat on the living room rug, coloring a picture her mom Samantha cooked dinner. While Mark read the newspaper near the window, Blue lay by the door, his eyes open and still. Since the day they found Blue, things felt different around the house. There was something calming about him. He never made noise, never begged for food, never chased after cars or animals, but he always watched. He watched everything. One night after dinner, Lily went to the front yard to water her flower pot. Blue followed her without needing to be called. As she knelt beside the flowers, Blue stood near, his ears up and eyes scanning the trees. Suddenly he growled low and deep. Lily stopped and looked up, confused. "Mommy," she called. Blue is growling at something. Samantha stepped outside with a towel in her hands. She looked toward the trees. Nothing seemed wrong, but the hair on her arms stood up. She took Lily by the hand. "Come on, sweetie, let's go inside." Blue did not move. He kept his eyes on the dark edge of the trees. After a moment, he slowly walked backward into the house, still watching. That night, Samantha told Mark about it. She was unsettled but could not explain why Blue seemed like he was doing a job he was trained for. "Do you think he was maybe a guard dog?" before Mark asked. Samantha nodded. "But this feels different. He is too quiet, too smart. Almost like he knows something we don't." Days passed. Blue began doing the same thing every night. At exactly 10, he would get up and walk the full circle around the house, checking the front door, back door, and the porch. He would sit at the edge of Lily's bed until she fell asleep, then return to the front door and lie down. Mark started watching him. One night he followed Blue around the house quietly. He noticed Blue would sniff the windows, listen for sounds outside, and even press his ear to the back door before moving on. "He doesn't just sleep," Mark told Samantha the next morning. "He patrols like a soldier. This is not something a normal stray would do." "Even Lily noticed Blue as my protector," she said proudly. "He is like a superhero dog." Then came the night that changed everything. It was past midnight. The house was silent. Suddenly, Blue barked, not loud and wild like a scared dog, but sharp and powerful once then again. Mark shot up from bed. He knew this bark meant danger. He grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. The cold air hit his face. Blue stood stiff near the barn, his body alert and eyes locked on something inside. Mark shined his light toward the barn door. Inside, he saw two glowing eyes staring back. A coyote. It had snuck in and was moving toward the chicken coop. Before Mark could shout, Blue ran forward, but he did not bark or bite. He moved fast but controlled. He blocked the path between the coyote and the chickens, growling in a low, steady tone. The coyote froze, then slowly backed away. It slipped out through a gap in the barn. Blue followed, but stopped at the edge. He did not chase, he simply stood. "Guard." Mark ran to him. "Are you okay, boy?" But Blue did not react. He stood like a statue for a few more moments, then turned and calmly walked back toward the house. That was not instinct. That was training, Mark whispered to himself. Something was going on with this dog. Something big. The next day, Mark told Samantha everything they agreed to. Take Blue to the vet. It was time to know the truth. The vet's name was Dr. Hayes. He was kind and older, known for helping stray animals and calming nervous pets. When they arrived, Blue walked into the clinic like he had been there 100 times. He did not sniff around. He did not bark. He simply walked beside Lily and sat quietly by her chair. Dr. Hayes began the checkup. Blue allowed every touch, even the thermometer, even the ear check. Then the doctor reached Blue's shoulder. He felt something under the thick fur. "What's this?" he murmured. He gently parted the fur. There was a faint scar, almost invisible. Dr. Hayes took out a small scanner. It beeped once. He said, "Mind if I scan a little deeper?" Mark and Samantha watched silently. The scanner beeped again, but this time it flashed red. Dr. Hayes froze. He leaned in closer, then stepped back. His face changed. He stood up slowly and walked to the front desk. His voice was low. "Lock the doors," he said to his assistant. Then he picked up the phone, dialed a number written on a folded card from his drawer. "This is Dr. Hayes. I think I've found something very unusual." "Yes, very unusual." Back in the room, Mark and Samantha looked at each other. "What's happening?" Mark asked. Dr. Hayes returned. His voice was calm, but his face was pale. "Please stay here, do not leave. And keep your daughter close." Samantha pulled Lily close. Blue stood and moved in front of her like a wall. Within 20 minutes, 2 black cars pulled up outside the clinic. 2 men in plain suits entered. One looked at Blue, nodded once, and turned to Dr. Hayes. "That's him." "That's Ghost." Mark stepped in front of Blue. "What's going on?" "That's our dog." The taller man showed a badge. He spoke in a low voice. "Sir, that is not just a dog. That is a military canine, and he has been missing for 3 years. The day was bright and quiet when the Petersons drove into town with Blue. Lily held his big furry head in her lap as they sat in the back seat of the car. She sang softly to him, and he looked up at her with calm eyes like he understood every word. Mark and Samantha sat in the front, speaking in low voices. "I know he's special," Mark said, "but I just want to make sure his leg is healing, right?" Samantha nodded. "Yes, and maybe we can find out where he came from, if he has a chip or something." They drove into the parking lot of the small animal clinic. Dr. Hayes was the only vet in town. He was an older man with white hair and kind eyes. He had been taking care of animals for over 30 years. When they entered the clinic, Blue walked in slowly. He looked around carefully but without fear. He moved like he had been in many strange places before. Dr. Hayes smiled at Lily and knelt down beside the big dog. "Well, Errant, you a handsome fellow," he said. He gently stroked Blue's head and looked at his injured leg. He led them into the exam room and closed the door. As he started to check Blue's body, he became quiet. His hands moved gently through the thick gray fur. Then he found it. Near Blue's left shoulder, there was a small scar. It was old but shaped in a very straight line. Not the kind of scar made by a bite or a fight. Dr. Hayes frowned. "Do you mind if I do a scan?" he asked Mark. "Just want to be careful." "Sure," Mark replied, a bit confused. Dr. Hayes took out a small scanning device. He moved it over the scar. It beeped once, then again, this time louder. Dr. Hayes stared at the screen. His face turned pale. He scanned again, then stepped back slowly. He turned to his assistant behind the front desk and spoke quietly. "Lock the front door and call this number," he said, handing her a small card. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. The assistant looked worried but nodded and did as she was told. Dr. Hayes turned to the family. "I need you all to stay in this room. Please, do not leave. Everything is fine. Just stay calm." Samantha looked at Mark. "What is going on?" Mark stood protectively in front of Lily. "What is happening, doctor?" Dr. Hayes took a deep breath. "There is something inside this dog. A chip, but not a normal chip. It is not for pet identification. It is military." Lily hugged Blue tightly. She did not understand, but she could feel the fear in the room. About 30 minutes later, 2 black SUVs pulled up outside the clinic. 2 men stepped out. They wore plain clothes but moved like soldiers. They entered the clinic without knocking. One of them showed a badge to Dr. Hayes. "We are here for the dog unit." K9X7 doctor. Hayes pointed to the exam room. The men entered and looked at Blue. One of them spoke softly. "That's him." "Confirmed." Mark stepped in front of Lily again. "What do you mean, who are you? What do you want with our dog?" The men introduced themselves. They were agents from a government department that could not be named. Their faces were calm but serious. "The dog you found is not just a dog," one of them said. "He is part of a secret military program. His code name is Ghost." Samantha gasped. "What?" "Yes. He was trained for high-level missions, search and rescue, security, combat, surveillance. Only 5 dogs were trained like him. He was the best." 3 years ago, during a mission overseas, his team was attacked. A helicopter crash. No one survived. He was listed as dead, but he survived somehow. He has been missing ever since, and now he is here. The agent looked at Lily. "We believe he traveled thousands of miles through forests, through danger. And somehow he came here to you." The family stood in silence. Even Blue stood still, as if he understood everything. The other agent spoke now. "We need to take him for evaluation. He may still have classified data inside, and he belongs to the government." Lily burst into tears. "No, you can't take him. He is my dog. He saved me. He sleeps with me every night." She hugged Blue tightly. He did not move. He just pressed his big head gently against her chest. Mark raised his voice. "He protected our family. He watches over us. He is not a weapon. He is part of our family." The agents looked at each other. One of them made a phone call and stepped outside. The other one stayed inside, watching Blue. Blue did not growl. He did not bark. But he watched them very carefully. Dr. Hayes stepped forward quietly. "I have seen thousands of animals in my life, but never one like this. He is more than trained. He is loyal. He chose them, and they chose him." The agent on the phone came back in. He looked serious. "There may be another way," he said. "We will give the dog a choice. One last test." They all stepped outside into the open field near the clinic. Lily stood under a tree holding her breath. One agent gave Blue a command word. "A secret military." Blue blinked. He tilted his head, but he did not move. Then Lily called softly. "Blue, come." Blue looked at the agent for a moment, then turned and walked slowly to Lily. He sat beside her and licked her face. The agent nodded quietly. "He made his decision. We will file for special permission. He stays with the girl. We will watch quietly from afar." Mark and Samantha hugged Lily tightly. Blue leaned against them, quiet and calm. The mystery was not over, but one thing was clear. This dog, this ghost had found his family, and he had chosen love. Inside the small vet clinic, the Peterson family stood. Frozen, Lily still had her arms around Blue, holding him, like he was the only safe thing in the world. The 2 agents from the black SUVs stood nearby, their expressions serious, one of them holding a tablet with Ghost's full record. That was his real name. Not Blue, not Shadow Ghost. He had been trained for secret missions. Missions that most people never hear about. But something happened 3 years ago, when his team went down in a helicopter crash. In a distant country, they thought he died, but Ghost survived. The vet, Dr. Hayes, stood quietly in the corner, his face pale. "I have worked with animals for 30 years, he whispered. "But I have never seen a dog like this." The lead officer looked at Mark and Samantha. "We understand that this dog means a lot to your family, but he was part of a highly classified program and still carries government technology. We need to take him in for full examination." Lily held Blue tighter. "You can't take him," she cried. "He's mine. He chose me." Blue did not move. He just sat beside her. Calm, quiet, waiting. The second officer stepped forward. "We will allow you all to say goodbye," he said softly. "We understand. This is not easy." Mark felt anger rising in his chest. This dog saved my daughter. He has protected our home and brought joy to us like no other animal ever has. Now you want to take him away like a piece of lost equipment. The lead officer said nothing for a moment. Then he looked at the tablet again. There is something else you should know, he said slowly. When Ghost disappeared, we assumed he was gone for good, but we still tracked a signal from his chip. Somehow the signal moved across borders slowly, over time, across dangerous lands, across rivers and mountains. Then, it stopped here in this town. It seems he was looking for something, or someone. Mark turned to look at Lily, who was gently whispering into Blue's ear. Maybe he was looking for peace, he said. Maybe he was looking for a place where he could finally rest. The officers exchanged a long look. The lead one sighed. We will test one last thing. He stepped outside and called over a third man who had been waiting in one of the SUVs. The man wore a military uniform. He knelt beside Blue and gave a series of sharp commands, in a foreign language. Blue turned his head. His ears twitched. He looked at the man for a long moment, but he did not move. Then Lily whispered, again, stay with me, Blue, please. And the dog stood, walked to her, and sat down at her feet. The man stood slowly. He respects the command, he said quietly, but he will not follow it. The officer gave a long, deep sigh. He has made his choice. He turned to Mark and Samantha. We will file the necessary papers, he said. He can stay with your family under special supervision, but he is no longer considered active duty. He is retired now. Lily screamed with joy and hugged Blue tight. Samantha started crying. Mark nodded with tears in his eyes. Thank you, he said. Thank you for letting him stay. Life after the storm, life slowly returned to normal, but nothing was ever really the same. Blue was now officially part of the Peterson family. He was more than just a pet. He was a hero, a protector, a mystery, and a miracle. Each morning he would sit on the porch next to Mark as he drank his coffee. Each afternoon he would play fetch with Lily in the field. And each night he would patrol the property before laying down outside Lily's door. Some nights he would stare out into the dark woods, ears alert, watching something that no one else could see. He always returned quietly, always ready to protect the people who gave him a second life. The neighbors often asked, "Where did you find such a smart dog?" Mark would just smile. "We didn't find him." He would say, "He found us." And deep down, Mark knew that was true. This dog had faced war, fire, hunger, and pain. But in the end, what he wanted most was family. He was born for war but chose love. He was trained to follow orders but followed his heart. In the end, he was not just a soldier or a stray. He was something greater, a protector, a friend, a family member. And all it took was a little girl who whispered, "Stay." So remember, sometimes the most incredible stories begin with a quiet moment and a single choice: to stay, to love, to protect. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this story. Share it with someone who loves animals and subscribe for more real-life emotional tales. What would you have done if you found a strange dog by the road like the Petersons? Would you take him home? Why or why not? Do you believe dogs can feel and choose love just like humans? Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Ghost Blue saw in Lily that made him stay? Tell us your theory.